Hello everyone, welcome to 观察.cn and being the strategic dialogue. My name is Wang Wen, the Dean and Professor Chongyang Institute for Financial Study, Linmi University of China. Today, I'm so lucky and very honored to invite a very distinguished, very respectful guest to 观察.cn, Mr. Prodi, who was Italian Prime Minister as well as EU President. You know, when you come to this audience room, you know, so many young person, they are proud for you because they are so lucky to see you. You know, many years ago when we are in middle school or in the university, you are like the huge superstar, political star. So today, even as a professor, but we still learn a lot from you in the past many years. So today we come to the 观察.cn and the being the strategic dialogue. I'm so honored to be the moderator and correspondent to conversation with you, Mr. Prodi. I know you after you leave the political position in 2008. I know you come to China many times, very frequently.
No, even before.
Even before.
I came to China first time.
Yeah.
You were not born, maybe.
Yeah, that's my question. That's my question.
It was 1984.
1994.
Yes,
okay. 84.
You know, because I was asked by the government to run the Italian public conglomerate, big, huge public-owned conglomerate. And we were asked to build a seamless iron pipe factory in Tianjin, you know, and I do always remember that from Beijing to Tianjin we had 5 hours and a half, now 28 minutes. And I followed all this change of China.
Yeah, that's about my first question to you. So what is the most impressive change in China compare your first visit 40 years ago? If we just keep one point, what most impressive change?
Look, well, everything has changed,
yes.
But the point impressed me more is that in China I see, different from many other countries, that people work together. Some sort of invisible of natural network, you know. And so I do think that the most progressive country are not countries in which they have some sort of strange guys and so, but people who work together, you know, that march together. And China has given to me the example of a collective progress. And now when I look China, big city and countrysides are much closer than before. This is what impressed me more.
Yeah, that is like the social revolution.
Yes, well, the change has, you know, arrived almost everywhere, of course, not everywhere. But this is something that in the beginning it was difficult to expect, you know.
Yeah, I agree, but that's you know, you are very smart. You are very scared at the tiny change, but reflect the huge change happened in China because the people and the people, the relationship changed a lot, but reflect, you know, a lot of change. For example, the transportation, infrastructure, the employment, social security, healthcare, and as well as national governance, right? Totally changed.
You know,
China.
In my experience, it's very difficult to make progress in a big country, distributed progress. And this is the most important Chinese characteristic, you know. Clearly there are still a lot of problems, you know, and now I think that the country must, because of the absolute change of the world economy, you will be obliged to make many, let's say, correction to your traditional policy.
Yes.
But this is part of life.
Yes, yes. But not only China changed a lot, but also Europe changed a lot too. So my next question is that compare 20 years ago when you was the president of the EU. So how's about the change of EU?
You know, Europe, the great fantastic change in Europe was in the first two generations after the First World War, the Second World War. Then in the last, let's say, 10, 15 years, the growth was much more difficult because when we had a financial crisis in 2008, we were not yet a united Europe, you know. And so the reaction was slow, and so we, you know, the crisis started from United States, but they reacted immediately, and Europe was unable to do the same because of different, you know, Europe is I used to say that from the political point of view, Europe is the best bread never had in food history, but is half cooked and half not cooked, and so it's not yet good. We have to go on with our, you know, and it's a pity. I do remember when I was in my first government, I was preparing all the passage to the new currency, and I had a conversation with the Chinese president, you know, and he was deeply interested to the euro, you know, asking me how can you end with the French franc or the German Deutsche Mark. The last question was, do you advise us to have a euro in Chinese reserves? And I said, yes, because, and remember the answer was a fantastic answer. I shall buy as many euros, as many dollars, because if there is the euro side by side to the dollar, there will be room also for the renminbi. The idea of a multipolar world in which Europe could play a role of referees, and this was my dream. But then Europe stopped to slow down its growth, and now you have a world in which you have China and United States, and I do hope that in the future Europe will go back in its role of, let's say, I call referee of the world. You know?
That's why I'm wondering very much, because you mentioned about euro. A lot of scholars describe you as a father of euro, because when you was the president of EU, you established the euro. But the problem is that we feel a little bit of regret, because I memorized in 2008, I worked in DC. I interviewed with a lot of leading think tank scholars. They are talking about, they said, in 2008, the EU GDP total value is much bigger than United States in 2008.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now, you know, only half only half of that of United States.
No, it's not half, it's higher, but anyway.
Yeah, it's 60%.
We lost ground.
Yeah. So, is it
it's
the crisis of euro, or how do
No,
you think about the
no.
euro position nowadays?
No, without the euro, the situation should be much worse. It is simply because we couldn't take the necessary decision. I give you only one example. When I made the enlargement to new states or implemented the euro, there was a common idea that we should have changed our decision-making process, and we have not done. And now we have something that I try to fight against, the idea that to take a decision you must have the unanimity. Let's say each of the 27 European member states have a veto right. This make impossible to take great decision.
That's why there was a new word describe this as democracy deficit.
Yeah.
Right? How do you think?
Unanimity, in my opinion, is against democracy. Because, with unanimity you cannot even run a condominium. Because there is always somebody who has some small interest to defend. And clearly we have to change it because from the potential point of view, Europe is a fantastic entity where advances science, a lot of different skills, and in the middle industry we are also potential growth even now, but we must take decision together in the banking system, in let's say sharing the debt, having a common policy as you have in China or as you have in the United States.
Yeah, that's why I think there are a lot of ordinary Chinese people. For them, in the past, maybe 2 decades ago, when you was the president of the EU, they admire Europe very much, especially France, Germany, UK. But the problem is in the past 15 years, there are so many crises happened in the EU. Firstly, 2011, the debt crisis happened, and then the immigration crisis, and then the Brexit, and then nowadays the Ukraine crisis happened. So hurt the soft power and hard power of Europe. So how do you think about Europeans' future? Can Europe rise up again in the future, or just keep regional power or ordinary power? How do you predict?
It depends upon us. Clearly, the potential are fantastic, but we must change our rules of governance. Look, but the test that Europe is important, we had exit, Brexit, UK went out, and the result has been very negative for the country. They should be better off staying inside the Union. And so this is not a problem of the Union, but is a problem how we run the decision-making process.
Yes, it depends on how the leadership of the EU in the future. But how do you analyze nowadays the leadership of the EU?
Look, difficult to have leadership when you have many government or coalition, because we had a increase of the number of the political parties in all the countries, and so it's much more difficult to have an homogeneous government. But now we are in a delicate moment, you know, that Europe has always been run by two big engines, France and Germany, with Italy helping, but not in the forefront. And now we are in a moment in which we have not the same strong common feeling between the two countries, you know, and so you have to negotiate everything. But I repeat, we have all the potentials to fix up the next decision-making process.
You know, I tell you a very big social secret in China. You know, if you ask Chinese ordinary people, do you mind which Europe leader do you admire or respect most in Europe? I think a lot of them will talk about you and talk about Chancellor Merkel. And how's about the leader? Do you recommend or respect the
leader? I told
leader?
You, you know, it's become much more difficult because of the unanimity. So you have always somebody who disagrees and makes a decision impossible. When you don't decide, how can you be a leader? Now, you know, when I was president of the Commission, I have taken responsibility very easily. Can you believe that I take the responsibility to enlarge the number of countries, keeping 8 countries that before they were belonging to Soviet Union. Now, an idea of having an agreement with Russia who could divide everybody, you know. In that time, I was dealing with of course, with all the countries and Russia, and with some sort of possibility of taking decisions, you know.
Yeah, but for my opinion, I think your leadership is very great. You have the very long vision strategically, because I still remember that when I was in the university, I heard your announcement, your strategic vision about Russia. That time you identify Russia as your partner, of EU partner. But now, you know, nowadays the EU identify Russia as enemy or rival. I think this is totally wrong. It's one of the reasons of nowadays the current Ukraine crisis. So how do you comment about nowadays EU policy, and how do you predict the future of the Ukraine crisis?
No,
how to solve it?
You're completely right. Things will change. In the last, let's say, meeting between my commission and Russia, it was November 2005, a leading Russian journalist asked Putin and me when Russia would have been member of the European Union, not if, when. And my answer was, look, impossible because it's too big, but we can work together like whiskey and soda. And Putin answered, no, vodka caviar. But this was the atmosphere, you know, of cooperation. Then things deteriorated, and now with the Ukrainian war, there is a total split. You know.
Yeah. Do you feel regret about it? If you are still be the president of EU, there will be a this crisis happen.
I should have never imagined a war between Russia and Ukraine. It was completely out of my mind in the moment in which I was an active politician, you know. But then, step by step, there was this total change.
So if you have opportunity to suggest Madame van der Leyen, what's your suggestion to her to solve the crisis?
No, look, my suggestion is that Europe should have mediated between Russia and Ukraine, because Ukraine is in Europe, you know, Russia is close to Europe, and because of the division inside the European member state, it was difficult to mediate. Can you imagine a war, a horrible war that is inside Europe, in which you have Turkish mediation, Saudi Arabian mediation, even Brazilian mediation, and you couldn't have a European role in that. You know, for me, I regretted it so much.
I think so. Okay, we talk about so many issues about Europe. Let's move to the United States. So you often think about the U.S., I guess, but now it looks like that U.S. dominated international order face a huge challenge. So how do you think about the international order dominated by the U.S. in the Second World War?
Dominant, I don't know if it's dominant, because I think that the real power of the United States was also to be strictly linked with Europe, Japan, South Korea, others, you know, Canada, you know, to have some sort of natural friendship. When I started my political life, United States, they were in some way the sons of Europe, you know, not only in politics, but in terms of heritage, And now the United States are very, very powerful, but they are alone. And you cannot be powerful and to be alone. This is a problem for any world country, you know, and you must have a network.
Yeah, because you mentioned that U.S. is very, very powerful. It can not stop me asking the next question is, because in a lot of Chinese ordinary people thinking that Europe is the little brother of U.S. Europe depends on U.S. too much. So you was the president of the EU. So is it true? So how do you balance about the independence of the EU and the partnership or alliance relationship with U.S. when you was the
please,
president?
you have to think that Trump has been an earthquake in Europe. And now we are still, let's say, trying to understand what is happening, you know, because I repeat, I was, let's say, center-left government, and my counterpart in one period of time was center-right, Bush. But the spirit was in, you know, different political idea, but some sort of common mentality. Now Trump has broken that, and so it's not easy to tell you what will happen in the future, because the change of American policy are so frequent, you know, and even before, when during the Iraqi war or Afghanistan, Europe was strongly divided on political issues. But now the split is on the long-range destiny, and also on the, say, concept also of democracy. There is a real deep doubt that we can go on working together if there is not some change on the both sides of the Atlantic. You know?
Yes. So can you share something about the U.S. when you were the president of the EU? The coordination with U.S. or just follow up, wherever or whenever, whatever U.S. did, EU just a follow up.
No, you look.
Is it not that?
I had very positive, let's say, cooperation with the United States, but clearly it was easier to defend the European position because on the American side there was some sort of comprehension, you know, big brother, but brother. You know, now there is some sort of uneasy relation, not only as brothers, but some, let's say, difficult friends. Let us put it this way: difficult friends. And it's too early to tell you to which point we'll go, you know. But clearly, you have the Chinese experience. Nobody is happy when you have new duties, obstacle to trade, customs, and all that. You know, these are not expression of friendship. You know, but it's something that is, you know, in still a process. Still a process.
Yeah. So, because you mentioned U.S. President Trump broken the traditional relationship between U.S. and EU, and it's like the political earthquake. So, how's the future? Is it possible for the transatlantic relation recover after Trump?
Not easy to give you an answer because it depends how he will insist in treating Europe as a low-level friend, you know, a low-level alliance. Now, clearly, there is an idea of Europe of speed up the common defense, but it is not certainly easy to do that because we have centuries of tradition of national identity, especially in the army defense and so on. But we are making progress in coordinating military industry, in trying to have more and more link even in this field. And but in the next future, I don't see substantial possibilities of progress. We shall have some sort of, let's say, pendulum, you know, difficult policy.
Yeah. So that's why I want to ask that how's the result of the trade war? Because nowadays the trade war not only between U.S. and China, but also between U.S. and Europe. So how do you predict the future of the? It's the end of the globalization. It's the end of the transatlantic relation. So how do you predict the trade war's future?
Well, it's the beginning of deglobalization.
Deglobalization. Okay.
Very clear, you know.
Very clear. And protectionism.
And you know, you cannot imagine how this is been changing the public spirit, the European public opinion and spirit vis-à-vis United States. This was unexpected, not only for the economic, let's say, consequences that are important, but also the idea that I do it without any respect of, let's say, diplomacy or, you know, but this is an enormous problem in all world politics, all that we have a waking up of identity, the sense of identity, mainly national, but also religious, also, and when you have identity, it's difficult to have diplomacy. And I have full in my mind, and this was my behavior, that you have to talk, to negotiate. Everything must negotiate, you know, because we have to live together. And we are different. We are friends, but we are different, you and me. We have a different history. And only if we negotiate, we talk, we can live well together. And now there is a coming back of the spirit of identity that mainly means nationalism. And even more for Europe is important, because don't forget that for centuries we fight each other for religion, the wars of the religions. And you know, when you have a war of religion, you cannot negotiate. You have no diplomacy for that.
Yes,
you know?
yes.
And now I think that the last 20 years have been years of regression on this point of view. This is my worry.
Yeah, I agree with you that in the past 20 or in the past decade, there are a lot of international conditions changed. As you mentioned, deglobalization, protectionism. You know, when I was in the university, I always heard about the free trade, globalization, liberalism from the United States. But now, we are talking, U.S. often talking about protectionism, talking about American first, or something like that. So, my question to you is that, how do you predict the U.S. future? So, because in the past many years, there are so many opinions talking about the decline of the U.S. So, is it true declining direction of the U.S.?
Look, it depends whether we are wise or not. For example, you know, United States arrived to 24-25% of world GDP, nominal, in PPP less, but anyway, nominal. Europe and China are around 17-18% each.
Yes.
So, if we think to our common interest, we have a lot of friends around the world. We can say, look, United States have made a different choice, but we can leave the open door to trade, but we must negotiate. And look, concerning China and Europe, it's a strange situation, because we have never been enemies. Never. But we have never been brothers. And we have to work for better relations. We cannot be brothers in a short time, but we at least can be good cousins in which we negotiate. And it's difficult, you know, it's difficult. And even the last meeting between European Union and China last July, there were no concrete conclusion. And I blame both sides. I don't say only that is European responsibility, because China, even in that, is very tough, you know, and we have, if we want to reconstruct open world, we have to set rules, of course, because we need rules, but we have to be very open to make some step back, both on the Chinese side and on the European side, to be calm, to discuss point by point, and you know, we had a moment in which we could do something. Remember the moment in which, after the first mandate of Trump, the former German Chancellor Angela Merkel approved in the Council the so-called comprehensive agreement on investment with China. You know. It was not a total, but it was an idea of dealing for the future. Then we had mistake on the European side and big mistake on the Chinese side, you know, to make sanctions against European members of the parliament, and of course they could not vote a good agreement with China, you know. So, but I repeat, we don't need to become brothers, you know.
Yes, but talking about the dominance of the United States, you know, in the past 2 decades, there are a lot of things changing. For example, the rise up of global sums. There are a lot of emerging economy, and the percentage of the economic dominance from the West, I mean, especially from the G7, is declining very quickly. So how do you think about the international condition?
I don't use your word dominating.
Okay.
United States is the most powerful country in the world. Dominate is different.
Okay.
Dominate is different. The problem how to have a network around the world.
Okay.
And this is why I am telling you, look, the world is large, and there are changes that are fantastic change.
Yeah.
India is coming, all Asia around you. You know, Indonesia, Malaysia, Vietnam, you know, and
Brazil, South Africa.
Even Africa is waking up.
Yes.
And in this world, you know, if you make connections, wise connections, in which you have to make concessions also.
Yes.
Of course, if you look about the trade, China has already this network.
Yes.
Because 20 years ago, let us take simplify that there are 200 countries in the world, you know, members of UN.
Yes.
150 of them in 2004, they were trading more with the United States than with China, and 50 with China. Now it's the reverse. 120 and 150 trade more with China than the United States. So you have a political, an economic network.
The different structure.
The problem is that to have also a political dialogue, you know, economy is not enough, you know, and I don't think that no country can act alone in this moment, you know.
Yeah,
even the fantastic action that you make in Africa, but you risk to be called as a colonial power if you are alone. You know, this is why I'm so pushing for these international agreements. You know.
Yeah, but I'm really happy that I hear so many times the conversation, dialogue, and negotiation from your presentation now. But to be honest, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, when you were the president of EU, that times, the West country has no such a frequent request on negotiation or dialogue with the rest of the world. So it's a change.
No,
yeah.
I remember my dialogue with the Chinese president. They were dialogue. They were dialogue in that moment, and China started also to buy euros. But then,
No. What I mean is that time, 20 plus years ago, there was U.S. launched a unilateral war. Launched a war to Iraq, launched a war to Afghanistan in the name of the anti-terrorism. There are no such a thing.
No.
Yeah.
But remember that.
Yes.
Take Iraq. Germany, France, they were against. I was strongly against it inside the Commission. I was part of the Commission. After the Iraqi war, I couldn't even talk friendly with Tony Blair, that we have been friendly before, just because of the war. We divided ourselves. So don't have this simplified vision. This war, the Iraqi war and Afghanistan, the same. This was a war decided by Americans with half Europe for, where Spain, Italy and UK, but France and Germany against. Take Libya. Libya. Germany did not want to enter into the Libyan war. It was much more complex, the situation.
Yeah, interesting. I really hear different views from you about the EU, the power for independence different from US. So back to the final part about China's future, as well as China relationship with EU and China relationship with United States. So right now you mentioned about dialogue between EU and China, but the problem is that in the past a few years, in the past 3 or 4 years, in EU, in Europe, there are so many persons talking about de-risks, and also EU, launched sanctions on China company, and also talking about the China's, the threat of China's new energy vehicle, and criticize China's industrial subsidy. And so, but on the other hand, it's a dialogue with China. So, my opinion or my question to you is that how do you think about nowadays the EU policy on China? Is it very fragmental, or it's a unified policy on China? So I feel very puzzled.
No, now, as I was sincere with you, remember the last meeting we had, there is a split. But for many reasons, because we are so different systems, that if we don't go around the table to discuss step by step, we will never find an agreement, because certainly it's difficult to think in the future that China produce half of the steel of the world, because otherwise you have such a dominating position that are impossible to accept. And then you have the accusation of state aid, exploitation of young, and so on, and so on, and so on, and so on. So if we don't discuss everything and we make a step back, it's difficult to have an agreement. What I am telling is that we have to find even partial agreements, you know, in order to make, to leave the door open. But if there is only one way, extreme in one direction, it's not easy to find an agreement, you know. And for example, even when I was thinking, I with all my good relation with China, I didn't like when there was the agreement called 17+1, in which China made a special agreement with 17 now are 14 European countries, because I found it some sort of let's say effort to divide Europe, you know, and I do think that we have to be to negotiate in front of us freely, step by step, but without some sort of bypass, you know. And I have been sincere to make the list of the European weakness, but clearly I have to be honest to tell you that we are in need also of basic Chinese change. You know.
But yes, but about the 17+1 system, but I think
it was an example, you know.
Example, but we really don't want to divide Europe, because on the contrary, we need a stronger Europe.
Yeah,
that's true. That's true.
But you don't make institutional agreements with part of a state, you know. If you consider Europe as a union, you know, you don't make partial agreement on that.
Yeah, that's the mutual misperception. Yeah, for US, for European side, you know, nowadays the EU, there was 3 identities on China, right? Rival, partner, or competitor, something like that. So, what's on earth the China's strategic identity for Europe?
In this moment, the identity is we are unable to do something new in this moment, you know. We are some way paralyzed. If you want to know my opinion, as I told you, I don't think that we may arrive to be brother soon, but good cousin, yes, because it's a common interest. But clearly, if we make a deal, clearly we cannot, for example, accept that China exports goods through friendly country, let's say, or dominate in Africa, or you know, an agreement is an agreement with a reciprocal self-constraint, you know, but is necessary.
Yeah.
Is absolutely necessary.
Okay, then we move to the U.S.-China relationship. How do you regard nowadays the bilateral relationship between China and the U.S.? The bilateral relation will be worse in the near future?
I answer with a question mark, because Trump is unpredictable. From one side, he loves strong powers. And so I think in the back of his mind, China is China. But is the real competitor in the world, you know. And so between competitors, relations are not easy. And also because the expenditure on defense is increasing in both sides, and when there is this rush to new armaments, I am personally worried.
But I can tell you is that for Chinese people, we feel more and more confident on dealing with Trump. For example, the trade war. Trump launched so many long tariff war on China, but we don't scare. We just keep it very sincerely and a very huge countermeasure to Trump. And there was a new word. I don't know whether you heard about a new word, that is tackle. Tackle.
Yeah,
right?
but
so on this side, for the tariff war or trade war, we have the very full confidence on coordinated deal with. So how do you predict about the future of the trade war?
You say that you are not scared because you counterattack with a rare earth, with all the, So the problem is a bargain in this moment, And so I do think that a compromise will be in some way necessary and will not be impossible because they can paralyze you and you can paralyze United States. And in this mutual tension, a compromise is the only way out. This is, I think, I don't know how it can be done, but you understand that when they managed to make very high duty to China, then China counterattacked with rare earth, then the Americans, they were lowering and they are increasing. It's an up and down. When you have such an up and down, you must be open to some negotiation. I don't say some agreement, but to some negotiation.
Yes. Okay. So final two or three questions. Let's predict the future. So nowadays, as you know, in the coming 1 or 2 weeks, we will have the new 5-year plan released. So of course, China have a long plan to design our future. So we have 2035 plan, we have the 2050 year plan. So our target is that by 2050 we will achieve the national rejuvenation. So could you predict what will happen in the world? I mean the international system, international structure by 2050?
First of all, your sticking on the plan is and the long-term view is the real Chinese strength. For example, why you are dominating on electrical cars? Because you are better in this field than anybody else. I don't think so. But you had 12 years of strategy, very clear, long-term view, and then you arrive to economic of scale before the others, And so this idea of long-range vision is very important. Now, what I think that starting from next week, you have a big task because the world is changing and also the Chinese economic strategy is obliged to change, You cannot anymore found your future development on real estate because there are not millions and millions moving to the big metropolitan areas. You cannot do on infrastructure because you have done, I don't see everything, but a lot of it. And then you have some problem in foreign export. You have done well even now in the last months, but problems will arrive, you know. And so, first of all, it's very well known that you have to increase consumption in order to increase your internal market, you know. Certainly China will not grow anymore to 10% or 8% because you are already a middle income country, you know, and so the rules are rules. But if you keep your existing rate of growth, you have a great future. And so you have to increase internal consumption, but this means increase security for citizens, because otherwise they save, and so the problem of welfare state, of the pension, but these are big change. You see in Europe, even the change of 1 year of the pension age make a revolution, and this is the first. And second, you are changing already, and this is another effort. Your rate of investment for middle or low technology to the very top technology, and this is another important, you know. But when I told you that China, in the first moment of our conversation, you asked me what surprised me, China. I said to grow together. And if I look at the number of engineers or for physics or let's say mathematics that you graduate every year, this is your wealth. There is a fantastic book that is written in English by a Chinese origin. Out of that simplify calls China a land of engineers, you know. But this is the strength that can help to the transformation. But clearly you have to do it in a moment in which public finance is not not only China, but even in China is not in an easy moment. The province, you know, the local budgets are in a normal difficulties. And so you have to do all this change together. And next week the process starts, and I shall try to follow day by day, because this is a challenge for a country that is 19% of world population.
So if I can, you know, for Chinese people, they are very curious. They are very eager to know your answer, because we are often talking about the unprecedented change unseen in a century, and because we think that China rises up very quickly, we think about maybe the decline of the United States. But can you predict by 2050, if you can rank the international structure, I mean the power ranking, so by 2050, which countries can be the top 5 ranking?
You know,
can you?
Every prediction is China, you know.
China is number 1 or number 2?
Number 1,
okay.
You know, but it depends if you are flexible enough to make this change, you know, because are not easy to do, you know. And you know, you are a great country of people singing together, but when you have change, it's not easy to sing in core, and this is the real Chinese challenge.
So which country will be the number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5?
Clearly, in terms of absolutely wealth, United States.
And then number 3?
Europe, potentially we could be second. first China because of number also. I repeat, there are, when I consider my country, there are in Italy one Italian every 22 Chinese. So the difference. And in Europe is 1 to 3.
Yes.
And so it's if you tell.
Yeah. So how about the number 3 and number 4? India. How about Russia?
Yes. India is a fantastic potential, but is less homogeneous than China. They have more religious problem, more, let's say, local traditional problem, or a structural population. But India is making an incredible progress.
So how about Russia, Brazil,
and
Japan?
Because of number, clearly can be third. If you take this, but the important is not the total GDP is important for powerful reasons, but in terms of welfare is how people will rise, and even more, please, even more the internal justice. We didn't talk about that, but the tragedy of the two-day world is the increasing of difference everywhere, not only in the capitalistic country, but also in the communist country, the increasing between poor and wealthy. You can't go on with this increase. There is one day in which this cannot be part of normal life.
Okay, thank you so much. My last question to you, I have a very personal question. The last question, because I really admire you, Mr. Prodi, because today is my first time to stay with you for whole days. Since this morning, 8:30 a.m. to now. Now is 6:30. You continue to work. You continue work for more than 10 hours per day, but you still feel very energetic. But you are 86. So
I am only 86. I am not 86. I am only.
Wow, you are so great. So my last question to you, because观察.cn, they have a very wide viewer, very wide leadership. So your suggestion to those younger people, the lifestyle, what's your suggestion for their lifestyle?
No,
future?
look, you have to be lucky. Thanks God, I have been lucky till now, But clearly, you must be optimist.
Great.
Work a lot.
Okay.
Work a lot, when I did a conference in Harvard, the professor of psychiatry, I told him, look, I work too much. I must make some hole in my agenda. And he told me, don't do it, because any hole in your agenda, Mr. Alzheimer will get it. Will get it, And and then, look, don't make an excess and a lot of sport. I am till my age, always a little slower, but every other day I run 8 kilometers. So just to fit, then you have to be lucky and have a good health system to which go if you are sick.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, Professor Prodi, Mr. Prodi, a very leading British, but in my eyes, he's a leading thinker in the world. I really enjoying the conversation with him, and also I really learn a lot from him. He teach us a lot. So thank you for your attention on观察.cn as well as Ming the Strategic Dialogue. Thank you again. So see you next time.